Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
It may actually be dead, Dallas.
What?
Whole sport might be, Whole sport might be fucked. Yep.
Are you saying baseball's been torpedoed?
Yeah, I'm saying that we might be going down with the ship right now. Yeah. The torpedo bats. Like, it's my new favorite buzzword. Torpedo bat. I love saying it. Yep. Love talking about it. It's fucking amazing. Just, I was saying this last night on Section 10. All you have to do is tweet about torpedo bats, and it's an instant viral tweet. People can't get enough of this shit.
No.
I think, what is it about baseball? Here's where I want to start. What is it about the sport of baseball that people just, they eat up controversy and anything that might be cheating, which I want to preface this by saying it's legal what they're doing. I don't think that they're cheating. I'm not one of those people. Like, people were like Alex Cora said, well, some of the Red Sox players were messing around with those bats in spring training. And I got tagged in that a million times. Like, see? And I'm like, I never complained about the torpedo bats. I never said that it was cheating. So you need to know where I stand on this before we have the full discussion, because we're going to be talking torpedo bats. I don't think it's cheating. I'm fascinated by it. I think the most fascinating part about this, and I'm going to say my piece and then I'm going to step back and let Dallas talk, because I'm fascinated to know or learn like what pitchers think about this, and the balance of data where it's like the pitchers have the TrackMan data and like they can see all the spin rate and the RPMs, and like, is this finally the hitters are catching up to the pitchers and the data that they have? Because think about it this way. In the steroid era, it was like, all right, we've got all these dudes that are roided out, hitting bombs, and the pitchers had the advantage, or excuse me, the hitters had the advantage. And then came the velocity farms, and here come the pitchers throwing 100 miles an hour with sync, and they have all this data, and they're, now we have, and another thing I want to ask you about, Dallas, the kick changeup. That's a new thing this year. People, it's just it's like, now the sweeper was the cutesy thing a couple of years ago. Now we've got the kick change in torpedo bats. But I think for me, I want to learn from Dallas what do pitchers think about this, because at the same time, it's like, okay, it's not fair they have these bats. Well, it kind of is fair, because pitchers will succeed 70% of the time against the hitters, and a hitter that succeeds 30% of the time is a really good fucking hitter. Like, the hitters, like, you are going to fail far more than you succeed in the game of baseball. So the pitchers are always going to have the upper hand. Have pitchers, Dallas, met their match with the torpedo bat? Because the science behind it is, and put it this way, I'm not a big golf guy, but I my friends golf, and I want to say it was Cody Bellinger that was like, yeah, all these guys, if you're really into golf, you can go and get your clubs fitted to you. They have all this data science on your golf club. Why haven't we integrated that with the game of baseball? And that's essentially what they're doing. And I haven't even mentioned the Yankees, because I'm not even going to put other teams are using this bat. It's not just the Yankees. And with the Yankees, it's Anthony Volpe and fucking Jazz Chisholm. Like Aaron Judge hit 16 home runs in that series against the Brewers, and everyone's like, we need to stop the goddamn torpedo bats. He's not using them. Not using them. And he had a fucking gangster line where they were like, why aren't you using the torpedo bat? Bud. And he's like, because I'm Aaron Judge and I hit 60 home runs a year. Like, if I had a fucking torpedo bat, I would hit 90 home runs, and then it would ruin it for everyone else, because that's when they would ban the torpedo bat. Yeah. But the science behind it is very simple. And it's to what I was saying earlier, the fascinating part about it is, why didn't someone think of this already? It's so simple. All right, here's the barrel of the baseball bat. It's universally in the same spot. But now you have all this data to be like, here's where I hit the baseball with my bat the most. Why don't I just move the barrel there? Oh, simple. All right, cool.
So you asked a lot of questions there.
I did. I'm very scatterbrained right now.
There is a lot to unpack there. So briefly, I will start with, why does baseball react this way? Why do baseball fans react this way? Well, I think you just have to understand, or just remember maybe, that this is a game that has been embroiled in controversy almost since its inception. And whether it's because of rules and those things changing, whether it's because of segregation, I mean, the list goes on and on, right? Free agency and the battle for that. this game has constantly and consistently been embroiled in controversy. So it's just part of the DNA of the sport of baseball. And because that's the case, baseball fans inherently grow up learning that. And so that's why I think there is the visceral reaction when anything like this pops up in our sport, is because that's what we are trained to do. Get instantly pissed about something new. And then and only then, once it's been hashed out for a few days, will we go, all right, I've had some time to think about this. And you know what? Maybe I'm not as angry about it as I thought I was. And that's fair for the most part, because look, that's the fun part about being a baseball fan. So moving on to the actual bat itself and the actual tool, and how pitchers have had the advantage and how hitters are trying to keep up or close the gap. The one thing that can be said about the changing of the tool for pitchers was the sticky substance issue that we have tried to navigate our sport out of. And that would be the impact of a pitcher utilizing the tool, the baseball, to change competition, to alter their potential success rate in competition. And that was illegal, as we found out. And we have put rules in place to prevent that. So now what do the hitters do? Well, you're allowed to form a baseball bat under certain dimensions and under certain protocol on Major League Baseball. And if you are fitting that protocol, and if you are within those dimensions, then have at it. And that's why we have different types of bat models, right? The C243 from back in the day, huge head, skinny barrel, or huge head, skinny handle. And then you got like the P72s, the Derek Jeter, like I believe he used a P shooter, something just a little more, not as girthy at the top. And if you play softball, you understand that there's two types of bats that you can choose from, right? A balanced bat, or one that is what you call end loaded. So one that is heavier weighted towards the head of the bat, so you can whip the bat head, as opposed to maybe someone who slaps the ball and is looking for a little more of a balanced approach. Or maybe you just don't like to feel the weight of the bat in the head of the bat. So that's where a company like Marucci has come in and had years ago implemented the puck knobs, right? The counterweight. And what's that doing? Well, it's shifting the weight of the bat in the player's hands so it doesn't feel as heavy at this end or at this end. There's actual counterbalance. And so the swing weight feels a little different. But what you're doing when you're moving the bat, or you're moving the barrel on the bat, is you are, it's called the balance point index, right? And being able to shift that balance point index allows you to also play with the density of the wood, the density of the bat. So now think about moving the barrel, and in doing so, making the barrel harder. And again, if this all falls under Major League Baseball protocol, which it does, then there's no harm here. There's no foul here. It's just a different way to go about getting your job done. So to your point, if you're somebody who feels like they stay inside the baseball a lot more than maybe catching things off the end, and the data has proven that to you time and time again, you very well may entertain moving that barrel down a little closer to the label. Why? Well, because the data tells me that for the most part, I don't really catch it off the end consistently enough to have my barrel closer to that location on the bat. The data tells me I typically catch the ball in this specific area. So why don't I move the barrel to that specific area? And that is what you're talking about, a club fitting. That's what Cody Bellinger is referencing. When you go out on the grass and you go out on the range, you start looking at the club angle, right? The angle of the club head, how steep your swing is. Are you steep in this? Are you shallow in your approach to the golf ball? The angle of your club head is going to affect that. So they track all this data. They then start to angle the club head in a way that matches the consistency of your swing. So if you're somebody who continues to slice the golf ball, they're going to angle your club in a way that can sort of mediate that can help prevent that to the extreme, or the other way around. If you're constantly hitting a draw, they can figure that out. So that's what's happening right now with baseball bats. And the one differentiation here for me is this isn't just purely data driven. It is resulting in the tool being redesigned for their usage, because I don't get to change the baseball based on how I pronate or supinate, right? I have to change my grip on the baseball. So that's where there's a little difference here, is they are quite literally changing the bat. But again, it's not illegal. They're changing it within a certain protocol. So don't get pissed. Don't get angry. This is totally street legal. This is just, it sounds like the first real commitment to evaluating the science behind this and actually saying, fuck it, let's see what we got. We're taking it into a big league game. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I go back to the point about it just seems so simple. Why didn't someone think of this before? And is the answer to that question, we didn't know we could do this?
No, I think the answer to that question is simply getting comfortable doing that, being an outlier. Like I go back to use Trevor Bauer as the example when he was drafted and the things he was doing in terms of arm care and arm preparation and long toss. And those things were sort of outlier mantras. They were outlier behaviors. And coming from college into pro ball with that sort of menu of preparation kind of threw people off. Like, buddy, do you know where you're at? You're in pro ball right now. You have to adhere to what we've been doing in pro ball. And he said, well, that seems to be fairly archaic. And I'm not really into that. I've actually done the studying and I've figured out some science behind how I prepare. And that's fitting me significantly better than the go run your 10 poles and call it a day. Like that didn't work for him. So there's pushback on both sides. This is just now, in my opinion, the evolution of the science from the hitting side finally adapting and being implemented physically into the game, as to where before it was more about stance. Now swing approach, right? We've gone through the launch angle revolution where guys are trying to lift the baseball and swing as hard as possible because that's where damage is. Well, now they've taken a step back and said, well, why don't I think about how I personally create the damage? So instead of trying to lift the baseball, where do I hit the baseball on the bat? Maybe if I can get a little more consistent with that, I don't have to try to lift the ball. I'm now putting the barrel on the ball more consistently, as opposed to trying to lift the baseball to generate what moving the barrel could possibly do for me.
Yeah. Jayhay, where are you at on the Torpedo Bats?
So like, well, I watched both of those Yankees games. So that was quite a show. From a viewer standpoint, it was like laughable, like just ridiculous. Not like diminishing the accomplishment, just like laughable how badly they were beating up the Brewers pitching staff. Long term, I'm very interested to see what the data says. Like that's my first reaction as a baseball fan is it looks in the first series like these are a massive advantage, right? At least for the people using them. It looks like, it's turned Jazz Chisholm and Anthony Volpe into, MVP candidates. And maybe that's the case. My guess is that it'll be something less than that, even while acknowledging the possibility that it may help them in reality. What I found so fascinating, though, when I took a step back is because I think there are lots of possible explanations for what we saw. One of them is possibly the bats. The other one is that Aaron Judge participated in the series, right? And wasn't using these bats, right? So if you take his singular performance out of this, how weird does the series look? Maybe not quite as weird, right? And secondly, like for anyone who was watching that game, the Brewers were not pitching well. Like that was absolutely like, we need to say that. Like there were a lot of like middle balls left up, like Cortez in particular. Like
the first four of the fucking game, Jayhay. Never in my life, never has a catcher in his life put fingers down 4 times in a row and just like, fuck. You've never gotten the ball from the umpire more than you have your starting pitcher. And that's what happened. That's what happened.
Dude, what also really happened is that they didn't have time to show the replay of the first homer until after the third. Like for real. That's how fast these were happening. But like, jokes aside, like there was some legitimately bad pitching going on. And we also know that the Brewers are missing more than 50, like 8 of their top 13 pitchers are missing due to injury right now. So like there are things going on. But what was so fascinating to me when I stepped back was the number of people in the game, players, managers, who on the record either explicitly or tacitly acknowledged that they had no idea these bats existed, or that people were like, I'm not saying that every team needed to be using them or that it's for everyone, but the idea that the Yankees are implementing them in game and that there are managers of other teams and pitchers they were facing who had Ron Washington was on the record as basically saying he had really not heard of them until Saturday, and whatever works for people, and he gave some quote about, when I got jammed, I just figured out why that happened to me or whatever. And it's like, okay, it's not for Ron Washington, but the idea that the Angels players and staff aren't aware of something that's being used in game by a team that they will eventually face, to me was almost jaw dropping. And then Trevor McGill, who was on the wrong end of this series, obviously as a Brewers pitcher, coming out and saying, he said, I think it's terrible. He told the New York Post, we'll see what the data says, et cetera, et cetera. It's genius. It might be Bush League. It might not be, but it's the Yankees, so they'll let it slide. That implies that he doesn't know what the rule is as it relates to bats. So I'm not even criticizing that a relief pitcher for the Brewers doesn't know the exact specifications and rules for bats in Major League Baseball, because really, why would he on a day-to-day basis? But that he's giving a quote that says it's the Yankees, so they'll let it slide, I do think speaks to some of the embedded mentality that's going on in the initial reaction to what we saw.
And not only from a player perspective, but from fans as well, Jayhay, which takes me back 100%. To the whole visceral, right? And the idea is, why does he believe that? Why is that a thought? Because if it's the Yankees, because we all know and understand that the Yankees being successful helps drive the sport, helps drive the industry. So that's why it would always be the perception that this is being allowed because it's the Yankees. And whether you agree with that or not, you just need to address that that's a reality. Not that Major League Baseball would allow that fans will think that players will think that, because we understand how the industry is driven. Well,
and worth noting that there are other players around Major League Baseball who are using this bat. It was noted in the article that I read that Ryan Jeffers, Davis Schneider, and Junior Caminero are among the players who are using it. I saw an image.
This technology exists in cricket. Okay, they've been doing this. I've never quite really understood this too, because for me it's about spatial awareness, hitting spatial awareness. What do I mean by that? Well, if you are grabbing your bat in the same consistent place every single day, then it would stand to reason you are familiarizing yourself with roughly 29 inches or so worth of that bat. Because if you've got a 33-inch bat, based on the width of your two hands together, what does that number come down to? Let's say it's 25 inches. 25 inches from the top of your hand to the end of the bat. Now, how many inches within that 25-inch space does the barrel exist? How familiar are you with being able to put that space on the baseball consistently? So where does the barrel exist for you? Are you familiar with that 25-inch space in your swing, elevated swing, dropping the head of that 25-inch space on the baseball? That's something that I've always been curious about. How do hitters try to familiarize themselves with that space? So now you have the barrel that you can start to adjust. So now I think about, does a swing, let's say someone walks up to Derek Jeter and says, Jeets, you look like a guy who likes to stay inside the baseball. And for better or worse, you can probably deliver an authoritative swing while still staying inside the baseball. Hear me out here. I want to move your barrel. I want to move your barrel a little closer to the label here, because you're somebody who stays inside the ball so well, and you're not really ever off the cap. And if you are, I think we all know how it goes. If you catch something off the cap, it's going to fucking be a 46 hopper back to the pitcher. So why don't we move this barrel down and let's see what we got? Let's see if you get more comfortable delivering this barrel and this location of the barrel to the ball, maybe more so than trying to familiarize yourself with a standard issued P72 barrel. Because if you're having trouble doing that, maybe this is a way to help.
Well, and that seemed to be the idea behind the Anthony Volpe using this, right? And the Yankees side of this, whether they invented it or not or whatever, the idea for Volpe was that he was making consistent contact in a part of the bat that was not, he was not getting barrels out of it or whatever. Yeah, right. Significantly enough. And they moved the mass to where it would benefit Anthony Volpe. And like the implications of that, staying within the rules of the diameter and at the thickest part and all of that sort of stuff, like the implications of ultra personalized, weight distributions is, I think, very fascinating.
I'm a washed up, retired pitcher, and I'm getting ready to tell you about what I did in college as a hitter. But I had multiple hitting coaches look at me and just go, I wish our guys who could drive the ball out of the ballpark knew themselves the way you know yourself. Because I would tape my bat with certain levels of tape at the top of the handle and then load it at the bottom because I consistently choked up, because I had no interest in trying to drive the ball out of the ballpark. I was bunting and slapping the ball through holes. That's what I was going to do. That's how I was going to help my team and be successful. So I had a 2-strike tape job on my bat, and I had my even ahead tape job on my bat, which meant, sure, I might be able to try to pound a double when I'm up, but if not, I'm just slapping this thing through the fucking hole, just slapping it through the hole. And I choked up on a 32. On a 32, I choked up. And that was just because the barrel was essentially in my hand. You were not blowing me up. You weren't going to get inside, but you had no fear that I was going to turn on you and torch you. That wasn't going to happen. So there was some give and take there in my approach, right? The idea was I was going to put the bat on the ball and it was going to do what I wanted most of the time. And because I wasn't looking for power, I was able to have success.
I can't picture you swinging at 32.
That's and I fucking believe it. We'll picture it, because you want to know what that 32 did? That 32 hit more collegiate home runs than your manager did.
I know, I heard. Yeah, speaking of my manager, he also said to add to the list of other players around the league, he said the Red Sox had the bats in spring training and guys just didn't want to use them.
Raffy not interested? Oh, man. Man, sorry. I hate to torpedo the conversation like that, Jared, but it had to be done. It had to be addressed. Do we want to address it? Look, I got to tell you right now, I give him all the credit.
The MLB season is here, and Underdog Fantasy wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats, like strikeouts, total bases, home runs, and so much more. You can make entries of all baseball, or you can mix and match across your other favorite sports. You can win up to 100 times your money, and it's a ton of fun. On opening day, I made 4 picks, hit 3 of them, which, shockingly, the one that I didn't hit was the Crochet higher on strikeouts. But I ended up nailing the Nolan Arenado homer, the Tyler O'Neill homer, and the Shohei Ohtani homer. Pretty good. Nice little payday for your boy, which went right to about 16 orders of chicken wings. Shut up, Dallas. 16 orders of chicken wings at what was it called? The Pitch in the St. Louis, Missouri. Delicious chicken wings. Check them out if you're in the area. Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared. That's Jared to get up to $1,000 in bonus credits and a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared. Also, shout out to you all the St. Louis Cardinals fans for the hospitality. They were great. I forget what it was. I want to say it was maybe early 2023. You may remember this, Jayhay. We did a rant on the Cardinals got off to a slow start that year. And I did a rant about you guys have had a winning tradition for so long. You've had one shitty month, shut the fuck up. And after that happened, Cardinals fans, they just like a swarm of bees. They I don't know that any of I just assume that when we go to St. Louis, I was like, these people fucking hate me for that one rant. And But I didn't have a bad experience with any of the fans out there. Yeah, it was a lot of underdog users, which was great to see.
Yes.
We did St. Louis Cardinals trivia, man on the street style. And the whole thing was, you get credits in the Underdog Fantasy app if you get the question correct. And, we were like, well, you can sign up for the app to get the credits. And they were like, well, I already have the app. So it was great to see the state of Missouri showing out for Underdog. For St. Louis Cardinals fans, they showed up in droves on opening day for a team that is going to be underwhelming, but a nice little hot start for the Cardinals. Projected to be underwhelming, but yeah, nice hot start. It was raining out, wasn't particularly nice to be outside, but Cardinals fans did not give a shit. It was a great opening day experience. It was actually cool listening to Harrison Bader, who's with the Twins now, talk about opening day in St. Louis and how special it is and how cool it is, and telling his teammates with the Twins, like, hey, you should probably be on the top step of the dugout because the Cardinals do it big. They do it right. So shout out to the Cardinals fans out there who were very accommodating and nice to us while we were in St. Louis.
And I'll just jump in and piggyback on that because I was in Seattle for opening day, and Seattle, they always do a fantastic. They have incredible in-game entertainment, which I thoroughly appreciate. They also have they do all of their ceremonies. They do it right, like from the Cal Raleigh gold and platinum glove presentation, just to bring in the guys out. It was fucking awesome. Watching Ichiro throw his first pitch in full uni was just incredible. I loved every single minute of it. It was just beautiful. It was
that video was great.
It was like I saw him, I was like, this is gonna happen. Like this is great. This is full uni. Ichiro is going to let this fly. And I was so excited. So excited. Dan Wilson said if he would have thrown that, like if that was a strike, he'd have knocked my fucking head off. Like that, because there's no chance I was slowing that down.
Did they have the ballpark gun going for that?
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes. Everybody, look, dude, like this is what I mean. Like, and I asked this question, and I swear to God, the reaction I got was like, see, it's not a stupid question, because I said, what would the reaction be? What would the reaction be when Ichiro walks into Cooperstown in his fucking road grays? Because he's like, well, we're in New York, so I wear the road uni. But when he walks into Cooperstown, like the dinner in full fucking uni, what is your reaction? Like if you're Raleigh Fingers, what do you say? You're like, well, hey kid, how's a great choice? Like, are you taken aback, or is it one of those things where you're like, hey, you see who just walked in full fucking uni? It's Ichiro. Yeah, are you gonna fuck? I'm not telling Ichiro fucking anything. No. Like, what are Chipper Jones and Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux gonna say when they're like, Ichi, and he walks in full uni? Like,
I'd be more uncomfortable if he walked in without full uni.
I know that, and
like that's how I want to see Ichiro.
Yes, and a scout, two scouts. Two scouts said very similar things. Like I didn't know Ichiro. One said, I don't think Ichiro takes the uniform off. Like he probably just showers and bathes in the fucking washing machine and then walks out and air dries, but he never takes the uni off.
Yeah. I mean, if you heard after Ichiro passes, when everybody's sharing stories or whatever, that like, he was a guy who legitimately slept in his uniform his whole life and like, ate breakfast out of his baseball mitt or glove, would that really surprise you that much? Wouldn't me.
No. Well, I've grown up believing that that's what happens.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, to go back to the St. Louis thing quickly, it had been about 10 years since I'd been to Busch Stadium. And when we watched the game from inside, I was incredibly impressed with. It was better than I remember. The viewing experience was really top notch, I thought, in terms of the backdrop and the aesthetics and the colors and all the good stuff. So yeah, 3 cheers to St. Louis.
Yeah, that was my 25th ballpark checked off.
Nice. They
got good fans. Shout out to the rain, by the way, because if it weren't for the rain, there wouldn't have been a delay. And if there weren't a delay, then our opening day stream would have coincided with the Cardinals opening day, and we wouldn't have been able to mosey on over to Busch. But I was able to enter Busch, and the 4th, I want to say. And yeah, it exceeded my expectations. I did not. Excuse me?
Entered the Busch on a moist afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
just slide right into the bush.
Yeah. Yeah, it was quite moist. There was only one drunk asshole where I was sitting next to Jayhay.
Jayhay, good job.
No, he was sitting next to me, is what Jayhay said.
Okay.
Yeah. There's only one drunk asshole. But I have perfected the art of just living inside my own head. And I was explaining this to my family when I got back. They were asking how it went. I was like, yeah, there's just like one drunk asshole. But the funny part is, like, he was just like trying to get my attention over and over and over again, but being a dick about it. And I guarantee you, like, when he shows up to work on Monday, he'll be like, yeah, I met Carrabba's fucking dick. Like, guy didn't talk to me. Like, his version of things will be completely
very different than reality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was shit-faced yelling at the peanut guy and was hoping that you guys were going to turn around and say something. Didn't happen. Now you guys are assholes. I need you to know that.
Yeah. 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 Weren't you guys doing trivia outside? I'll give you some trivia.
Big swing and a miss by the drunk guy.
Yeah. Yeah. But I thought it was really cool that they still have the old Busch Stadium. They still have home plate and the bases marked. So you can, and it's right outside the ballpark. So yeah, there was like a father and son went down there. They were playing wiffle ball with each other. Yeah, like we were tossing the ball around outside there.
I live for scenes like that. I live for like to just happen upon that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I fucking love it because that means that means the world to that dad. That little boy, that little girl will grow up appreciating that moment and then learn the level of appreciation of it years and years later. Like I love moments like that.
Yeah. Yeah. The little boy that was hitting in the batter's box, he was, I mean, like the dad was pitching to him and then he was swinging like scouts were watching. And when he got a hold of one, he was busting it hard 90.
Love it.
Yeah.
Fucking love it, man.
Yeah. There's actually there's one point where the kid's like busting it to third base, and it's like a very trafficked area because like the Cardinals Hall of Fame gift store is right there as well. And
constantly packed.
Yeah, so like the kid is like running to third base, the dad fields the ball, and then there's like a random dude walking by, and he like has like the presence to be like, all right, like I'm gonna play third base. So the dad throws it to the dude at third base. He catches it, tags him. Kid goes fucking flying. It's like, I guess you're out, dude.
I love it. I fucking love that, man.
Yeah, it was cool.
Good for baseball fans.
Yeah,
good for
great
them.
for baseball. Yeah, I guess the one story we got to talk about someone struggling today, and Roki Sasaki, man. It is all the hype this past offseason. It's like, he's got the best, splitter in baseball, and he's going to the Dodgers, and he'll be with Shohei and Yamamoto. This guy sucks, Dallas. What do you got?
I don't think he sucks. I don't think he sucks.
So?
I think there's clearly going to be there's going to be a learning curve, and it's just the learning curve is you can't leave shit middle. That's the learning curve, and it's nothing that he doesn't already know, man. This is just a matter of poor execution. It's poor execution. Yeah. We see the stuff, and I think if we're being honest,
walks.
Well, that's the problem, right? So you're trying to stay out of the middle of the zone. What do you find yourself doing? Now you're nibbling. Now you're nitpicking. And what I don't want to have happen, what I would hate to think happens, is the insecurity behind the fastball starts to really creep into his mind. And now he starts to think that the secondary stuff is what's going to allow him to survive. Well, what happens is if you can't throw the fastball for strikes and you can't command that here at the big league level, they are going to absolutely start eliminating shit. and just hunting that one fastball that you can throw for a strike. And if it never comes, well, then you're going to be fucking walking the yard and your outings will be abbreviated. And we know how all of this goes. So does he suck? No. Has it not been great?
I think
Clearly.
he has sucked. I think we can say that.
No. I said, does he suck?
Does he suck in general? TBD. Has he sucked?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's no, the numbers are what they are.
Two starts, 4 2/3, 9 walks, to 5 strikeouts. Only 3 earned though.
Yeah. No damage.
Not a ton of damage.
Yeah. All singles, right?
Yeah.
He's got a first pitch strike rate of 35%. League average is 61.
61%.
He's throwing the ball in the zone 38% of the time, and league average is just under 50% of the time. So that's just, those are untenable. Both of those things are untenable. There are no regular pitchers who live with those numbers over any sustained period of time. So, it's about staying out of the middle. It's also about throwing more pitches generally in the zone. So, yeah, I don't think he sucks, but it has been that start the other day was a legitimately tough watch. It reminded me, it's a little bit of a lazy comp, but also statistically it works. It reminded me of Yamamoto's debut.
Sure.
And I know this was Sasaki's second start, but it did remind me in terms of his inability to find the zone, and getting out of it with minimal damage given the circumstances. And that ended up fine, but yeah, work in progress for sure. Maybe more so than some of us had hoped.
And without even going in, because I haven't looked at anything this morning, but without looking at the average velocity on the fastball to see if there has been was there even a decrease from his first outing to this outing?
It was 98 miles an hour in the first start across 37 four-seamers, and it was 96.1 in 33. So a 1.9 mile an hour drop.
Jayhay, this is where we do what we do. And this is why I said what I said about staying out of the middle. And if there is any sort of insecurity behind the fastball, you just do not get to blow past his homework assignment for any team willing to sign him up and forget about that. The reason he wanted you to show him how he could get his fastball back is because he is Stella looking to get the groove back. And he's asking you, how can you help Stella get her groove back? That's what he's asking. I think what's playing out right now are the insecurities in that very fact. And I don't want to throw this fucking thing in the strike zone. I don't want to throw it down the middle. So here's the rest of my stuff that I know I have to start nibbling with, because I can't just I can't lay a curveball in there. I can't lay a slider in there. I don't want to pitch with my split up. I want that thing down and wiping people out. And it's not going to do what it's supposed to do if I can't throw a fucking strike with the fastball.
Yeah, and to your point about the lack of confidence, 66% fastball usage in the first start and only 54 in the second start. So already kind of wavering there, if that's the perspective we're going with.
Yep. Yeah, I nailed it. That's
tough.
It is, and it will continue to be interesting, because I will just never get over, not get over, but I will never get past that. I will always just remind you, this was a huge issue for him personally. That's why he tasked all of those teams with coming to the table with their data points that would show him how ready they are to help him navigate this very real issue for himself.
It's only 2 starts.
It is only 2 starts.
Not good, but Yamamoto, didn't Yamamoto suck in his first start too?
Yeah, it wasn't great. But it was the same thing. It was, I think it was 4 walks or something. It was just a lot of pitches, some erraticness.
That 37.6% zone rate, by the way, that's 114th out of 120 pitchers to throw at least 50 pitches this year. So not literally unprecedented within a small sample. Charlie Morton was at 36% in his lone start so far. Eduardo Rodriguez, 36.5. So people have, Walker Buehler was similar to Roki Sasaki. So this happens. But he's obviously got one more start into his season.
Wow, big breaking news from Jeff Passan. Jesse Chavez is being called up by the Atlanta Braves.
How about that?
Is this what his 7th
start
stint? How many times has he been on the big league roster for the Braves?
I like 5 times.
I think it's more than that.
6, 7.
Yeah, it's got to be up there.
Those numbers are more than 5 for sure.
His baseball reference page is a fucking nightmare. Oh my God. He's been in the big leagues for 17 years with like 35 teams, but like every year he's on 2 teams. This is the most unappealing, just like non-aesthetically pleasing baseball reference page I've ever seen in my life.
It's like a document with like 8 sub tabs. So this is the 6th. This will be his 6th MLB appearance distinct with the Braves. It's 2010, and then he had a long gap where he joined them in 2021, and then 22, 23, 24, and it'll be 25.
Imagine playing for a team, and then a decade goes by, and then you're back, and then you're back again, and then you're back again. He was
traded to the Braves for Rafael Soriano on December 11, 2009. Then the Braves traded him at the deadline in 2010. He's been in the league so long, he was traded for Rick Ankiel.
That's such
and Kyle Farnsworth. That was that trade in 2010.
Keep going.
Then fast forward to 2021, he signed as a free agent with the Braves. And then in 2022, he was traded. He was granted free agency. Then he was traded by the Braves with Tucker Davidson, who I believe is playing internationally now, for Raisel Iglesias. He was selected off waivers by the Braves in 2022, signed as a free agent with the Braves in November of 2022, granted free agency, signed as a free agent with the White Sox, signed as a free agent with the Braves. And then he signed as a free agent with the Braves in March.
Well, look, I mean, for teams that he has pitched 60 innings or more for, it is clear cut that Atlanta is where he has experienced the most success.
He sucks everywhere but the Braves.
I mean, the second best place?
Who would be the second best team that he pitched for?
The A's.
The
A's, because believe it or not, it wasn't the only time, but that was where Jesse Chavez got the opportunity to start ball games.
No, Cubs.
Come on.
Cubs.
The Cubs?
Yeah,
no, I said 60 innings. I cut the limit off 60 innings.
Okay.
Teams that he's pitched 60 innings or more, because the Cubs, the Royals, and the Dodgers are all teams that he has not pitched 60 plus innings.
44 and 2/3 innings, a 181 ERA with the Cubs.
Yeah.
So you just did that to fit your narrative, I guess.
Yes,
I mean,
for sure.
He and Liam Hendricks were traded for each other a decade ago. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Good for these guys. Good for him.
Yep. Yeah.
Braves need it.
Braves
need
Side
it.
note, one of the most quality human beings and most quality teammates you could possibly have.
Are you saying this in like the Bruce Chen way, or in like?
Yeah, you remember Bruce Chen, right?
I love
one of your
Chavez,
best friends.
Yeah. I love me some Chavez. Love me some Chavez. I was hanging out with Chavez last year on the road. Yeah,
you don't love
Chavez's
Bruce
a great
Chen?
dude. I love Bruce Chen.
Wow,
you know
no. You've made it quite clear yet again that you don't love Bruce.
I got all the love.
Which is sad, because he's everything that you're saying Jesse Chavez is, Bruce Chen is to me. So
he's your quality human. He's your great teammate.
Yes. I mean, yeah. He gave me a ride home. He fed me. He clothed me.
He's an incredible dude.
Yeah. Bruce.
He's an incredible dude.
Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce too. For sure.
Okay.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know what the best thing that Bruce ever did for me was?
Get you some better help.
No, he bought me an ice cold Blue Moon.
Oh, well, see, it's his way of getting you better help.
That's right. Because he knows that Blue Moon was born in a ballpark at the Sandlot Brewery in Denver, Colorado. So it's no wonder why you crave it. Its bold flavor, bright explosion of color, and iconic orange slice ritual guarantees a one-of-a-kind beer experience year-round. And for the moments that you want a lighter option of your favorite beer, reach for Blue Moon Light. It's a refreshing wheat beer brewed with real tangerine peel. For a lighter, exceptional taste at only 95 calories. That's why it's my favorite beer. Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes sense. Fat boy.
Yeah, well, the holidays, they'll get to you, Dallas.
Yeah, sure. It's April. Yeah.
It's not April yet.
No, we got a day. You're right.
Yeah, we got a day.
You got me.
Yeah. Yeah, but that 95 calories, that's a big time saver for me.
It's a difference maker.
Yeah. That's why Blue Moon Light's my go-to. Inspired by the beer you already love and available year-round. A wheat beer from Blue Moon with exceptional taste at only 95 calories. Brightly brewed with real tangerine peel, tastes light and refreshing. Nothing compares to the great taste of a Blue Moon Light. Blue Moon made brighter. Get Blue Moon Light delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/Jared for delivery options. That is get.bluemoonbeer.com/Jared. Blue Moon made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
So I'm going to have an off day in Colorado.
Oh.
In about 4 days.
Yeah.
I'm going to have an off day. I'm not going to have a game to call. I'm not going to have a car to drive. I would love a tour of the Blue Moon Brewery.
We can make that happen.
How do we not make that? I want, yes. Yep. I need that. I want to be wheeled out of the Blue Moon Brewery in a wheelbarrow.
I can make that happen for you, Dallas.
Yep. I'm calling. I need to get on the horn, but I want that to happen because it's going to be inclement weather there. And I have no problem doing my homework on Blue Moon for the better part of the morning/afternoon.
It's pretty cool there.
I mean, I've been outside it. I never went in it because I was doing
I've been in it.
Because Colorado was offering some other fun opportunities at that time.
Mm.
They were ahead of their game. And you know me, I'm a fun guy.
It's true. The facilitator of fun, some have said.
That's a fact. That is a fact. So what we got any other news and notes, Jared? We got some decent storylines, huh?
Yeah, we get a lot of stories here to talk about. Let's talk about the Miami Marlins and how they've had 3 walk-off wins to start their year.
That seems very pointed. That seems very pointed.
Why? Because it came at the expense of the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's not to put down the Pirates. This is to uplift the Miami Marlins and their fans.
And their fans.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if you're a Marlins fan, you know how long you've been waiting to be talked about on this podcast? Years.
Yeah, well, I mean, soak it up because it ain't going to last long. This is the Pirates lost those games. The Marlins didn't win those games.
That's kind of crazy to say.
No, Pirates. The bullpen. Come on, what do you mean it's crazy to say?
I mean, the Marlins
bullpen blows leads. I mean,
sure,
you made some mistakes on the base path.
Three walk-off wins to start your season in the first series. Like that's the clutch gene. You can't teach it.
I told myself that I wasn't going to allow you to do this to me because what I wanted was the Marlins to be celebrated because you know how fucking sweet that is. You want to talk about building momentum? There's nothing better than a walk-off win in baseball. There is just nothing better than that. And to start your season with 3 walk-offs, that is incredible. An incredible vibe to start the season with. So I'll say this. For Marlins fans, I think I'm very comfortable in saying nobody, maybe outside of Dodgers fans and the fact that they haven't lost a game yet, nobody has experienced this kind of excitement this season already outside of the Marlins fan base. Not going to say it's going to be the best part of their season, There's a solid chance you go back and look and go, man, only if we could have kept that momentum going, those 3 walk-offs, things could have been a little. I'm just saying this is going to be a point in the season they'll look back and go, that's when things were good.
Well, Jayhay, are you you're not going to shit on the Marlins after a series like that, are you?
Nope. First time in 22 years that a team has claimed its first 3 wins of the season via walk-off. The 2000 Rays are the last team to do so. And the Marlins are the first team with 3 walk-off wins in their first series of the season since the 1901 Detroit Tigers. So we're talking about how it's been a long time since Marlins fans have felt this good or heard their name mentioned on this podcast. It's been 124 years since any team in baseball has won in the fashion at this point in the series, this point in the season, as the Marlins have. So, yeah, I mean, if we're being real, yeah, it's possible we look back on this as the high point of the Marlins season. Yeah, I mean, maybe, but like, if that's funny only because it's the first 3 games of the season. There are many seasons in baseball where teams go 162 games and don't have a 3-game stretch that is as exciting as what the Marlins fans have just gotten. Now, yeah. So like we're joking, but like teams go full seasons without experiencing this sort of thing. So if this is the highlight, it's a pretty fun highlight to have, short of the team that wins the World Series. So
yes,
it's cool, especially for a team with diminished expectations and a lot of youth and a lack of proven and a new manager and all that sort of stuff.
Teams go stretches without being competitive late in ball games, without even threatening late in ball games. So 3 days in a row to not only come back and win like that's a completely different vibe. Like, and I'll tell you this, like, I really do hope that the Marlins players find something in this to feed off of, because there is just, dude, there's something that it does to a room, because for 3 days we've been down. For 3 days, we've been out of this. For 3 days, we were supposed to take the L. But for 3 days in a row, we have found a way to capitalize on the mistakes that have occurred on the field. And frankly, both of those teams, along with several other teams in baseball, are going to be teams that have to do the little things to win ball games. You have to take advantage of the mistakes that happen. And that's exactly what the Marlins were able to do over the course of those 3 days, is take advantage of, like I said, some bullpen blunders, some base running blunders. Starting pitching from the Pirates was fine. Yeah. I mean, more than serviceable. It's just the latter stages that started to fall apart. But for Buccos fans who are pissed off about how this went, let me just remind you, the last time this happened was against the Pirates. And it was 1924 when the Pirates got walked off like this. You want to know what happened? The Pirates ended up winning 90 games that year.
That would be something.
Just saying.
Can I just do one more little Marlins nugget here?
Yeah, of course.
Since we are stopping by Miami quickly here on the opening pod of the regular season. If there's one thing that you can take out of this that might be sustainable or continuously exciting moving forward, to me, it's Max Meyer. Like the performance that you got out of him, and the fact that, like, you know, he was on a decent number of breakout lists and stuff like that. 7 strikeouts, all of those came with the slider. That is a career high for strikeouts with the slider in a single start. So, you know, it was 5 2/3, 5 1/3. So not like necessarily stop the presses, but he's a big part of this rotation this season and moving forward. And that was, you know, reasonably exciting to see.
You know what was really exciting to see?
What?
Jacob deGrom back on the mound.
Yep. It's good to see.
He was not the opening day starter for the Texas Rangers. They just kind of had it lined up that way from spring
Hasn't
training
earned it.
Progress.
Oh.
Yeah. Nah, well, I mean, he might even tell you that. He might tell you that he hasn't earned it. But all that to say, he looked really good. They set a 75 pitch limit for him over the weekend. Looks really good. A lot of swings and misses, which was nice.
Well, look, 75 pitches in how many innings, Jared? How many innings did he get through?
5.
There you go.
Yeah. Good pace. Great pace.
Well, that's the average. That you are right at the big league average pitches per inning.
There you go.
You got 75
Great pace.
pitches. You want to be getting through 5. Get me into the 6th.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not chucking 100-mile-an-hour darts anymore, but that's by design. He's throwing 96, 97. Slider looks crispy.
Hey,
I don't want to say it was vintage Jacob deGrom, but this is a healthy, very good Jacob deGrom still.
and brother, let me tell you, if this dude can start to settle in to this approach, and dare I get crazy and say he posts a couple years, maybe even 3 or so in a row, where the numbers start to get back to what they look like before the injury bug just ravaged him, and he can stay consistent. And again, I don't know if it's 3 straight years of 20 to 25 starts because the health just is what it is. So be it. I think that could very well be a helpful push in the direction of pitchers starting to assess whether or not they feel they can back off of chasing the extra ticks and become the pitcher that they ultimately would love to become, and allow them to stay in the league a little longer. And I think that it would probably take a guy like Jacob deGrom, who's experienced what he's experienced from the health side of things, coming out and admitting the way he has, like, hey, maybe I need to reevaluate how I'm going to go about this. And then if success follows that, that seems like a pretty good example of, hey, this could potentially work for you too if you're somebody who's found themselves in the same boat as a deGrom.
I'm just utterly fascinated by this whole situation from like a data and maintenance standpoint and stuff like that. Because like we're talking about a guy who's trying to operate at like more than 2 full miles an hour below like his peak velocity. And that's not just for the 4-seamer. That's like, I checked, like his slider's slower, his changeup slower. I mean, that's how you'd want it. Right. But like, I don't recall, I'm sure there have been examples. I'm sure the listeners will come up with them. I can't off the top of my head recall an example of a guy who still had this level of profile and success and dominance, basically just coming into a season and being like, I'm going to operate at 2 full miles an hour below the last time you saw me really as a great pitcher. And that was, I'm writing off 24. No, we're talking about 23. His fastball's 2 full miles an hour below what it was, 98.7, 96.7. It's his first start. We'll see if he maintains that. But like, guys like Felix, that was more gradual, right? They lost velocity and they had to adjust over time. CC, we've had that conversation, but like this is more or less. Last time you saw me, I was throwing 98.7, 99. Now I'm throwing 96, 97. And at least in the first start, again, we're talking 26 4-seamers, but his whiff rate on the pitch was half of basically what it's been in his career. So he got away with it this time. I'm interested to see A, whether he can continue to get away operating at this level, and B, whether it actually, to Dallas's point, lends itself to health and sustainability.
I've got to believe that if you are somebody who has the confidence to go out there and really try to attack and focus on execution as opposed to just letting it eat and letting it rip, this is what those pitchers who had to face their mortality had to learn how to do, is pitch without lesser stuff. Jacob deGrom is in a space where feels like he could probably still ratchet it up. Yeah. But he's decidedly said that very well could lead to a shortened shelf life for myself. And I don't want to do that. So now you're dealing with an animal who, if he needs to run that race at a higher rate, he very well could. Now, do you start to venture into that territory where you don't want to see him do that? Or maybe if you do, hey, in big spots in the game, I don't need you doing this. I don't need you nutting up in the 3rd inning, maybe in the 6th inning with a runner on out there, and you're really trying to hammer this down and get the boys back in the dugout. Okay, step on the gas pedal. But it'll be, I couldn't agree with you more, Jayhay. If there's a pitcher out there whose data is going to be intriguing to watch this season for all of the points we've just laid out, I think it is absolutely Jacob deGrom because of the health factor and the definitive decision to say, I'm going to take a different approach on the mound this year. So I can't wait to see how this unfolds.
Very exciting stuff. Wishing nothing but health to Jacob deGrom. But I did want to get your thoughts on this, Dallas, because I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but Jonathan India took a heater to the face / head from Emmanuel Clase.
Oh my
and
God, no.
You didn't see that?
No, like face, like hit him like flesh? Or was
helmet.
it glancing? Helmet?
No, I hit, helmet.
Let me fucking look it up.
Yeah, you check the video. I mean, it was not intentional, but
No,
Vinny Pasquantino was not pumped about it. Here's what he had to say.
My view of it was watch him get hit in the face. And I'm still kind of collecting my thoughts on it, but he threw a pitch that he doesn't ever throw, the pitch before, which was a four-seam fastball. It was his first one of the year. And then the next pitch, they, trying to come back up and in with the next pitch. And I get it. You're trying to let a pitch ride, and it didn't. And it hit him right in the face after almost hitting him in the face the pitch before. So obviously I'm upset by it. I'm more upset for John because, we don't know what's going on with him right now. So it sucks. And I don't think there's any. Do I think there was intent behind it? Absolutely not. He's trying to go close a ball game, finish a ball game. It did happen, and that sucks a lot. And it felt like there was a lot of, and again, scouting reports, different ways of pitching. You got to own the inside part of the plate. It felt like we were moving quite a lot this weekend. Again, I know there wasn't any intent behind it, but felt like there was no adjustment made there, and that's frustrating. But again, they beat us. Hats off to them. Just it's a sucky situation.
So basically, he's saying it's not like, I know it's not intentional, but it's, it's more so like get your shit together to Clase. Like it's like it seems like he's more frustrated that there was like a near miss and then he smoked him.
Well, so he says, he said the pitch before this was a four-seamer, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what does Emmanuel Clase do? Emmanuel Clase cuts the baseball. Everything out of the hand of Emmanuel Clase is going that way, is going the other way to Jonathan India. It's going away. So Emmanuel Clase knows that. He knows what the numbers are. Vinny Pasquantino let you know what the numbers are. It's a pitch he doesn't throw ever. It's the first time he's thrown it. Well, here we are at the beginning of a season, and what are you trying to do? You try to evolve. You try to evolve as a pitcher. You try to evolve as a hitter. So this is probably Clase understanding. I've got to do a little work inside, just like Vinny mentioned, because of how the Royals had been approaching the games up until that point. And for Clase, could be just a matter of this pitch got away. Of course, I'm not trying to drill this guy in the fucking head. Like, do you see the kind of shit I possess? Like, this guy, for all intent and purposes, in my mind, is an out. I don't want to be putting him on base and giving these guys an opportunity to score. So that's not where his head was at all. And I can understand where Vinny's coming from. Your boy just got smoked in the fucking grill. Yeah, you're not happy about that. It's gonna make you feel a certain kind of way, especially if you're a guy like Vinny, right? Because Vinny's the dude who will lead the charge. And that's why you love him. That's why he is as beloved as he is in that clubhouse, is because everybody knows how Vinny feels about shit. And let's give him some credit there for being able to have the level head and say, hey, there's no intent here. I understand that. Am I pissed off about how it went? Yes. Let me identify some reasons why. Here you go. At the end of the day, they beat us. It is what it is. It's just a scary moment for everybody involved. That's really what it is. And I think, again, the idea that Emmanuel Clase is probably trying to feature something that can disrupt the scouting report. You have to go out there and execute it. I mean, there's guys all across the league who cut the ball and throw sliders and throw sweepers, right? Gyro and sweep combo. And they're trying to go, well, now that I've looked up, I realize everything just goes left. I need to find something that goes right. And what do you got to do? You got to throw the pitch. You got to get a feel for it. So it sucks. It's terrible. It's terrible. I hope Jonathan India is okay. The fact that he walked off under his own power is great, because I just don't know how many dudes. Right. I don't know. I was just going to say, I don't know how many dudes could take 99 to the grill and just kind of walk it off. I mean, that's a fucking, it's fairly impressive, man. Fairly impressive. But I do think ultimately cooler heads have prevailed here. And I don't think that there's going to be much hullabaloo after the fact. But you know what? as soon as I say that, you very well may see an instance that says, hey, we remember how things went. We'll see you again. We're in the same division. We'll talk about this later. Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like that's going to come back up at some point.
Who knows? Who knows?
Jayhay, any thoughts?
I just, yeah, I mean, how's Vinny supposed to feel about it? That was my reaction to his comments. He showed restraint, as you guys touched on. I think he accurately diagnosed the situation. And then my only remaining question is that if everybody's on the same page that it wasn't intentional, then why does there need to be another chapter to this? And we don't need to litigate that necessarily, but that always is what I come back here, is that, you know, if it's intentional, it's one thing and we want to start throwing at each other. Okay, we can have that conversation. But, you know, Vinny seems to understand. I know Vinny's not the one executing the pitching, so it's not really about that, but he seems to understand what the situation is. And, you know, I would hope that we could move on. And this has nothing to do with me being a quote unquote Guardians fan, but, yeah, unfortunate for sure.
I tried to find an update on India. I can't find one.
I mean, well, it's probably, I don't know if there's nothing doing, like if there's no broken bones or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure it's just going to be a matter of him getting back in there today.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yep. The San Diego Padres 4-0 to start the year against the Atlanta Braves. That's two heavy hitters in the National League. I think if you were to, well, maybe the Padres aren't a heavy hitter anymore, but they sure looked like it to start the year. 4-0, 4-game sweep, capping it off with a little Sunday Night Baseball W. Are people, did we kind of look at the San Diego have we underestimated them? Have we moved on too quickly from the Padres being a legit contender?
Oh, I don't know that we've moved on too quickly. I think we're just sort of waiting for them to tell us that they're going to be that competitor. They have all the tools in place.
I think they're capable of being a wild card team. I don't think we dismiss them from being that in any conversation that we've had. And I think while it's still intact, they have the starting pitching to win 4 straight games at any point or take 3 of 4. And we saw them just take 4 straight from a team that I think everybody thought and probably still thinks is better than the Padres. So yeah, if Nick Pfaadt is going to shove like that as their 3rd best pitcher or 4th best pitcher, then yeah, that's a great formula. I think, you know, I'm not trying not to take too much away from one series, even if it was a 4-game sweep. I think it's hugely encouraging for the Padres, obviously. But you know, I don't think it's like panic time for Atlanta or anything like that on the other side.
No. In the last 20 minutes, Jazz Chisholm has tweeted about the Torpedo Bat. Would you like me to read it?
Would love to hear that.
Jazz Chisholm said, okay, explanation. The barrel is bigger and within MLB regulation. For the idiots that say it's moved to the label, you're an idiot. Nobody is trying to get jammed. So, you just move the wood from the parts you don't use to the parts you do use. You're welcome. No more stress for y'all.
Yeah, I'll let the folks who designed the bats explain that. I mean, that's secondhand information that we're getting because that's from a source to Jazz and then filtered through Jazz to us. And I'm not taking anything away from Jazz and telling you that he couldn't jump on a lathe right now and whip out a bat. That's not what I'm telling you. But I'm telling you that I've already had discussions with individuals who have made a life out of making baseball bats, and we're going to have that individual on our show in a day to break it all down for you. So this is just about how people understand what's happening here.
Yeah. Well, I think we might get some clarification there later on this week. Yeah,
we sure will. We absolutely will.
Okay. Would you like to share with the class on what's going to be going down?
Well, we've already, I mean, as we speak, we were not recording yet, but we were all on while I was on the phone. Folks over at Birdman Bats are already cranking one out. That'll be for us. And then we're going to have our man Gary on, and he's going to break it down. Because again, there's been a lot of conversation about, well, how is this legal? What are the protocols? Blah, blah. And again, maybe aside from hearing it from the person who swings the bat, I'd like to hear it from the person who makes the bat, because that's who has to fall in line. That's who understands the protocol. That's who understands how taking wood from the part of the bat that you don't use and putting it to the part that you do use, that's who understands how that works on a nuclear level. So that's who we're going to talk to.
Very excited for that conversation.
Yeah, as am I. Are
there any other topics that you guys want to hit on?
Man, there's like so many we could talk about.
There is a lot. There's a lot here. I'm just going to start to, quick shout out to Jay. Is there a pitcher out there that you'd like to congratulate on getting breaded up?
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a guy out there? Because I distinctly remember a moment where we may or may not have been analyzing the potential success rate and the viability of the Diamondbacks. And I believe the reference to this individual was, what? And I said, no, it's actually Pfaadt. That's how you say it, Pfaadt. And Jay, you may have had other opinions on that.
Wait, on how to pronounce his name?
No, on whether or not he was a viable option. I think you may have sneezed at the idea that if Brandon Pfaadt was somebody that they were going to have to rely on at the time, that could have been a slippery slope for them.
Well, and how did that turn out? Did they win? Or did they lose?
If you want to slander a man for getting paid, this is your time.
No. I was going to go the opposite direction.
Okay.
Yeah, I did want to mention, obviously Brandon Pfaadt got the extension, on the heels of Tanner Bybee getting his. Brandon Pfaadt got his. I felt like the initial online reaction to this, to the extent there was one, was like, why are they breading up a guy whose best season was an ERA just shy of 5? And I understand that. But to me, I see like essentially no risk involved for the Diamondbacks in this deal. It's like the baseline of Brandon Pfaadt is that he threw 181 and 2/3 innings last season. So like we already know that he can handle a full starter's workload at something resembling like, a slightly below league average level. And if you look at his underlying stats, they were much more complimentary of the work that he did. And he's already made kind of marginal improvements in both strikeout rate and walk rate between his first and second season. So like there was a massive gap between his ERA and FIP. Not that FIP is the end all be all. He increased his ground ball rate, like you're swapping out pulled air balls for pulled ground balls, which is generally a good idea, particularly in his home park. So I like it. Like if he doesn't get any better, it's kind of like an extension for the D-backs. And if he gets better, it's like all he needs is a season or two for the whole thing to be a massive win.
Yeah. And I know I'm just from experience from being in camp with those dudes and talking to a few of those guys. There's a very real sense that you add a guy like Corbin to the mix and everybody, I'm watching it unfold in real time right now. And it's nothing that I was unaware of, but when you insert a top flight arm into a room like that, everybody now stands to learn something. Everybody. And when you have a guy like Corbin Burnes and you have a reference point like Zach Gallen in that room with you, like, buddy, I want to say that the sky's the limit. And I want to believe that what you're seeing early is the unfolding of the application of some of the knowledge that he is very well receiving from both of these sources on top of his inherent ability. So I agree with you, Jayhay, that this is probably something that will bode well for the future for this group, simply because the risk reward is not so great that if this doesn't pan out the way you do, you haven't set your franchise back for a decade.
Well, and also worth noting that it gives them cost certainty for a rotation that is going to need some of that clarity, like Zach Allen is a pending free agent, Merrill Kelly, et cetera. So, like, yes, they have Burns under contract and they have Eduardo Rodriguez under contract, but getting Pfaadt for $45 million and potentially, a couple of options, mutual and otherwise, for his free agent seasons. Yeah, I mean, basically, why not?
Stay hot, Brandon Pfaadt. Get breaded up, chicken titties.
Did you see the Cal Raleigh press conference?
Sure did.
Yeah, it was very funny.
I was there.
His teammates were in there asking questions in the back with the media being like, so next meal on you, or like we just went out to dinner a few nights ago. Like, will I be reimbursed for that? Pretty cool. Good for
it was good. Raleigh. Like I said, man, Mariners had great pregame ceremonies.
I mean, I'm happy that you got to see that. I'm looking at the standings here. A 2-2 start for the A's. How are we feeling about the A's, Dallas?
Feeling pretty good about it, man. Feeling pretty good about it.
Talk to me about this Murdoch kid. I like him.
Oh. he is a fucking gem. A gem of a human being.
Yeah,
just
like
a gem. Yeah, and he's fucking 6'8". So I'm
Is he really?
I'm talking to a goddamn totem pole. Like I fucking hate going down there and talking like to him and Mason. Like I refuse to talk to those two dudes back to back. I'm not doing it. It's like going to a goddamn air show. Your neck's just fucking cranked for the next hour and a half. Not happening. Yeah. But no, seriously, Noah. It was cool because, and I talked to him about this at length, and he's a dude who gets it. He understands. He's watching the game. And I gotta give a shout out to my man, Dan Hubbs, our bullpen coach, because Hubby has done a phenomenal job of communicating early with these guys, which is very vital to success down there. What your landing spots are going to be, potential landing spots. Hey, this is when we're thinking about getting you in. Mark Kotze did a great job of letting him and Justin Sterner both know, hey, this is where we're looking to get you in. These are probably your lanes here. And the game situation is going to help dictate a lot of that. But the fact that he understood that, the fact that he knew that and was already starting to gear himself up for moments in the game that he could be in, it was kind of funny because you're looking at a ball game where there's a bit of a lead between us and the Mariners, and he's thinking, all right, well, maybe this is my spot. Soft landing, not a ton on the line here. I can go out and get a clean inning. And well, that didn't come. That wasn't the case. So out of necessity, it's nut cutting time. We gotta get you in here. We need you to get us out of this shit here. And he comes in, gets the job done, punch out for his out, and comes back into the dugout. And what I was concerned with is the adrenaline dump. Can we avoid that? And the answer was yes, because he went right back out there and got the job done again. And talking to him after the game, he was just like, I'm glad it happened that way, man. I'm glad it happened that way. Throw me in the fucking fire. Like, that's why I'm here, is because I'm supposed to be able to help. And he was just really glad and grateful that he was able to get the job done. He's been extremely well received in the clubhouse. He's just one of those big kids who, has great shit. It's a bowling ball anvil type sinker, nice little slide piece. And he's got a little fuck you in there as well. He's a very well-demeanored individual, but we've got another one of those dudes down there at the back end of that bullpen too, who's a very, very sweet human being, but is absolutely looking to rip your fucking throat out the minute he takes the mound. And that man's name is Mason Miller. And you saw what that was about, just wiping out the fucking side. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, with sliders. Like an asshole.
And that's the thing. Like, and not just sliders. Like, he's not throwing a fucking mixer in the middle. This is fucking 87, 89. Absolutely painted.
I forget who was up there. It was a righty. And like, you can't, there's a fine line in Dallas. I don't envy your job when Mason Miller pitches, but like, you have to toe the line of describing what happened without being insulting to the batter.
Yes.
And it's like, All right. Well, he just missed that one by about 9 feet. Like,
What the dude? That's
swung
why,
through
like,
it. Wasn't even close. I mean, but that's what happened.
it is. Well, it is. And I said this. I said, so Julio Rodriguez, he missed that by 2.5 feet. Like he wasn't. And I said that on air. And last year I had to do this where I start laughing and I have to remind people like I'm sorry. I'm just laughing at the visual. Like it has nothing to do with the player, who it is. It's the visual. Like that was 104. And that dude who's hit 45 homers had no chance at that. Like not even close. So that's you're right. I have to at times kind of remind myself what we're watching. But Noah Murdoch, an outstanding job by him. Outstanding job by Jeffrey Springs, who came in and punched out 9. I mean, I'm going to be honest, Jared, at one point in time,
you're welcome.
I had to get a squeegee out and wipe the fucking screen down because there was just semen all over the place.
Yeah, you're
change
welcome.
Up. Oh my God. I haven't had that much fun watching a ball game like from a starter in a while. You know, I mean, I've watched JP Sears. I watched Alex Wood go out there and have some good games, but watching him do it, because I said this on air too. If you look at Jeffrey Springs and his pitch profiles and what he's working with, if you were to line up every starting pitcher in baseball and tell them that they have to go out there with Jeffrey Springs and shit, they would look at you and go, is there somebody else I could pick from? Do you have another option? Because they'd say no thanks. But Jeffrey Springs not only goes out there and performs with that stuff, but was surgical with his shit. And that's what's fun to watch, is because you know that the margin for error just doesn't exist like it does in other places. And he went out and had a ton of success. So overall, the base running was great. The defense was on point for the most part. I really like what I saw in just a first 4-game set, especially in a place that has not been kind to the A's, against a pitching staff that has not been kind to anybody, specifically the A's. To be able to beat Brian Wu, like that guy has shoved it directly up our ass ever since he got to the league. So that was a nice one.
Yeah. I had fun watching the A's. Jayhay, would you like to tell the good folks? By the way, back to 3 episodes a week. Yep. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday.
That's right.
Are there any series that stand out to you before the next time we get together here?
Oh, most definitely. I would say, let's see. So Mets Marlins is interesting more like on an individual level. Like I want to watch Senga Alcantara on Tuesday. That's 2 guys that we really didn't get to watch last year. And I watched a little Sandy on our stream day on Thursday, but not as much as I would have liked. So I'm going to tune in for that. And obviously the Marlins have the hot start that we talked about. So I'm fascinated there. Tigers, Mariners, 2 teams that we expect to be in the thick of things. Again, pitching focus. Jackson Jobe is pitching later today, and Logan Gilbert is pitching tomorrow. And then Corbin Burns debuts on Tuesday for the aforementioned D-backs at Yankee Stadium. So, you know, if you're interested in the Torpedo Bats story, one of the best pitchers in baseball is going to walk through and deal with that at Yankee Stadium. So we'll see if he has better success than the Nestor Cortezes of the world. And then Braves Dodgers, which is obviously, you know, by percentage odds to start the season, maybe the 2 World Series favorites in baseball. Glasnow Monday, and then more my interest, as interesting as Tyler Glasnow is, Chris Sale and Dustin May slated on Tuesday. Obviously May didn't get to see him last year, and just the visual of Dustin May 1 half inning and Chris Sale the next half inning is just, to me, that's appointment television. So those are the ones that are standing out to me.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Pitching.
You got the Cubbies. That's a good one for you.
Yeah, we got the Cubbies. I'm excited to see Boog.
Yeah.
That'll be nice.
I love how Boog is one of the most professional guys in the business, and he's one of the best at what he does. But he will still deal with our bullshit when we have like a question about the Cubs, and he'll still take a call just random, like he'll just do an impromptu spot on the podcast. It's not like, yeah, we got Boog at 220, got him for 15, hard out at 235. It's like, nope, Boog.
We got Boog in the elevator,
we'll answer, and that's why I'll always love him.
We got Boog in the elevator on the way up from coffee. That's what we got.
Yeah.
Jared, there is before we get out of here, there's just one last thing I wanted to catch. I wanted to get your opinion on.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's that?
My microphone. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, got you.
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Crystal.
Yep. Here we hear you patting it. Yep.
This is on.
Yeah, it's on.
Jake, can you hear me?
I can't hear him now.
Fuck. All right.
Jake can't hear him. I have to ask, Jared. I have to ask. Do you have any thoughts at all on the designated hitter for the Red Sox designating himself as a swing and misser and not the designated hitter? The designated hitter for the Red Sox, not hitting the ball. Is there any thoughts on that? Because what I wanted to ask was, do you think that a guy who was misled potentially, allegedly, by the former regime who had promises allegedly made to him with an existing member of that old regime still a part of this new regime, and that promise was not upheld, do you think having the position completely ripped away from you and all of that, do you think that has anything to do with Rafael Devers punching out 12 times in the first 4 games? Do you think that there's anything there at all, or am I just reading into this a little too much? Like the 0 for 16 with 12 punch outs to start the year can't have anything to do with him feeling like he was slighted and lied to and then having his position completely taken away from him, can it? Am I off? What would you, as someone who's close to the organization, Jared,
Sure.
what would what would your thoughts be here? How would we categorize what we are seeing unfold? And is it already too late to save the season?
I am first of all, they were in every game. They lost by 1 run, 2 runs, whatever. They're not getting their dicks kicked in. And that's with the offense not doing a damn thing. It's not just Raffy. It's Casas, it's Story, it's everyone. No one's hit.
I just really wanted to focus on the guy who's been designated to hit.
I understand. I tend to theorize or wonder the health of the player because his swing speed is down. What was it? 17%?
Do you mean like his heart's hurt? Like inside his heart's hurt? Or do you mean like a physical?
I think it's a physical thing. I think his maybe his shoulders are failing him, which is not good. But they have Masataka Yoshida.
No, I would hate to think that how old's Rafi? 26?
27. Gonna be
27? Your young 27-year-old already designated hitter is having shoulder problems. I mean,
players get hurt, Dallas. Doesn't matter how old you are.
Oh, especially with the shoulders. Trust me.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about a guy who's been designated to hit only. And the shoulders and the swing and how that worked. Like,
it's a problem that will sort itself out. I'm not really too concerned about it right now.
What would you think, like from an insider's perspective? Because from an outsider's perspective, it looks like part of the sorting out was, hey, you can leave your glove at home. And then where do you sort it out from there? Like, is it hey, you know what? Why don't you leave the bat in the rack too? Because then I start to question, like,
it's only one series. It's only one series. And actually, that series finale, he worked a walk. He was putting balls in play. I think he only struck out once yesterday. Well, so there is progress.
And I said this, look, credit to him, because what you would hate to see is a guy take his at-bats with him out there on defense, and that's definitely not happening.
Yeah.
That's rude.
Jay, do you have any nugs to save me here?
Save you? Oh, no. I was going to go in the opposite direction a little.
Oh, no. You hate to see this.
So his whiff rate against fastballs is currently
78%.
It's currently 72%. Among qualified batters, the next closest, so next worst, is 39%. Mason Wynn at 58%, and he's the only other player at 50% or higher.
Okay.
So he is literally operating on a different level. He's 0 for 8 with 7 strikeouts against fastballs for those keeping track at home. And the bat speed thing actually provoked me to dig a little deeper. And what I do find interesting, obviously these are incredibly small samples right now on all of this stuff. But some of this stuff normalizes a little faster than you would think. Fast swing rate, which is one of the things that they look at. It's percentages of swings, percentage of swings 75 or greater. Last year it was 28%. This year it's 12%. So that probably speaks to the issue with fastballs specifically, but also maybe if you're saying that, oh, it's not a slump, it's actually that his shoulders are rotting away, then, we'll see where that data goes. Because right now he can't generate the same force as he was able to before. And then just on a real broad statistical level, just good old fashioned strikeouts. He does have those 12 strikeouts through 4 games. That is a Major League Baseball record. 5 people had previously struck out 11 times through 4 games. Brent Rooker last season, actually, Ronald Acuna in 2020, Byron Buxton in 17, Domingo Santana in 14, and Brett Wallace in 2013. Not all of those are to start the season for teams. It just start the season for players. But yeah, unprecedented start in terms of how bad he's been. Sorry.
Get that out of your system. You guys happy now?
It just felt like it might have been a.
I do work
like
hard
it might
for
have
the
been
Nuggs, so yeah, I want to use them.
Yeah, and I didn't want. I mean, for whatever reason, Jared, that topic, if you look at our rundown, was on the very type. It was like the first item, and I know that you.
And again, just a guide, right?
Yeah, just a guide.
It is just a guide. It's not a script, Dallas.
That's right.
Yeah, no. Well, right. So we were able to work our way right back to the very first subject, and I'm glad we were able to do that because our fans.
Yeah, like the Cardinals sweeping the Twins was like down the line there, but I think we boosted it right up to the top.
Yep.
Well, you guys were
our
in St.
hometown
Louis.
Cardinals.
I mean, yeah. Why wouldn't you? Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's more of a guideline, and in doing so, and in trying to give St. Louis their flowers, I didn't realize that I missed that topic.
Yeah.
You?
That's why they call him the maestro, because we're always going to get it. We're always going to get the important stuff done. It's just a guide.
The amount of honesty and accountability flowing out of you right now.
Yeah. I made a mistake.
Buddy, stop it. It's early. It's Monday. You're setting a hell of a bar for yourself.
Yeah, it's okay.
Right.
Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for supporting me, especially through the technical difficulties. The microphone.
Yeah.
Can I support you with some Nuggs?
Yeah, please. Yeah, I would love that.
First, before I do the Nuggs, I do want to tease. Sources in my ear are telling me that we're going to have a very fun promo for the fans. Ready for tomorrow. It's called the Torpedo. Torpedo promo.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be Jared Carrabis' face all over this. It's going to be tied into Yankees offense on Tuesday. So be sure to check that out. Details still being finalized. But I wanted to make sure we talked about that because that's going to be a great one for the fans, as all of the promos from Jared and Dallas are and will be across the 2025 season. Be on the lookout later tonight. Nuggs. You wanted to, we did enough negative Boston. You want to do a positive Boston Nug?
Yeah, please. That would be nice.
Wilyer Abreu. He has been the brightest spot for the Red Sox.
Correct.
You're familiar with him, right?
Very much so, yes.
6th player in the last decade to have 4 or more extra base hits and 5 or more walks through his first 4 games of a season. Mookie Betts did so last year, Yelich in 19, Gregory Polanco, JD Martinez, and Bryce Harper are the other people to do it in the last decade. The only Red Sox to ever do so are obviously Wilyer, Carl Yastrzemski in 1965, Ted Williams did so in back-to-back seasons in 46 and 47, and Joe Cronin in 1941. So Wilyer doing his part. Obviously all over the place at this point, but the Yankees tied the 2006 Tigers for the most home runs through the first 3 games of a season, 15. I went back and looked. Dallas Braden actually gave up 0 of those home runs to the Tigers. I was
Wow.
expecting that it would be all of them.
Ordonez taking him to the woodshed.
Didn't
Son of
play
a
the
bitches.
A's. That's why he didn't allow the homers. But you would have that was prime taking Dallas deep Tigers era.
Definitely.
Andrew McCutchen homered 236 as a member of the Pirates. We touched on this in our interview with him from spring training. He's now 4 behind Roberto Clemente for 3rd all-time in franchise history. Aaron Judge and Eugenio Suarez are the first pair of players to each have 4+ homers through their team's first 3 games of a season since the forgotten man Robinson Cano and Trevor Story both did so in 2016. Dallas's boy O'Neal Cruz is the first player with a homer and 4+ stolen bases through his team's first games of the season since Lee Lacy did so for the Pirates, coincidentally, in 1923. Antonio Senzatella had a very weird pitching stat line. He is the first pitcher to allow 9 or more hits and record 0 strikeouts, but still allow 0 runs since Dave Dravecki in 1986. Yeah, quite a
Big
pull there.
wreck.
Those are my favorite types of Nuggs. Aaron Judge is the second Yankees player ever with 4+ extra base hits, with at least 3 of them being homers and 8 RBI in a game. The only other person to do that, Tony Lazzeri in 1936. So no Ruth, no Judge, no anybody else, just Lazzeri in 36. Dallas will like this one. Judge is the 11th player to hit 3 or more homers in a game in which his team hit 8 or more homers, and it's the 6th instance in the wild card era. The last team and player to do so, the Law Dog, and the A's last season, and it's his 3rd career game with 3 or more homers, tied for the 2nd most in Yankees history. Lou Gehrig has 4 such games. He's the all-time leader. The Yankees are the first team in Major League Baseball history. You saw history if you watched the game to hit 8 or more homers, and commit 4 or more errors in the same game. So if you like homers and errors, they had it all for you. Nestor Cortez, probably one of the most laugh out loud pitching performances that we'll see all season, given how his season ended and for whom last year.
I'll be right back.
Stay strong. 5th pitcher in MLB history to allow 5 or more homers in a start of 2 innings pitched or fewer. Evaldi, Mike Fiers, Shane Green, and Rob Bell are the others.
Mike Fiers. Was he wearing the cattail beard at that time?
Ultra specific nug from opening day. Zach Gallen is the first pitcher in MLB history to have a start on opening day featuring exactly 4 innings pitched, 4 hits, 4 runs, 4 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Spencer Torkelson, the best of opening day. I won't do everything from opening day, but the best. Torkelson, first player in MLB history with a homer and 4 walks on opening day.
Do it, Torque.
Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado, second pair of teammates to each have 2 or more hits and 2 or more stolen bases on opening day. The only other instance of that, Ricky Henderson and Roberto Kelly for the 1989 Yankees. On the negative side, not much of that this time. Credit to me. Jackson Chourio, third player in MLB history with 5 strikeouts on opening day, joining Max Muncy from 2023. He's obviously bounced back. And Ron Karkovice.
Wow.
A guy that some people identify as one of the ugliest men in Major League Baseball history. Had a very ugly start to his 1996 season. And to end on a positive note, Mackenzie Gore, first pitcher since Shane Bieber in 2020 with 13 or more strikeouts on opening day, and the first pitcher in Major League Baseball history to have an opening day start featuring 13 or more strikeouts, 0 walks, and no more than 1 hit allowed. He was utterly dominant, and if it was in a different context, probably would have gone deeper in the game. So those are the Nuggs.
Outstanding. My final thought before we get out of here is something we talked about at the very beginning of this broadcast, and that is the Torpedo Bat and what place this topic is going to have in our game this season. What does that mean? I'm interested to see if there's going to be a real measurable shift in guys who are entertaining this and how that works out. I'm really curious to see and really curious to hear and excited to talk with our man Gary from Birdman Bats. That's coming later next week. So stay tuned for that. But yes, the torpedo bat is something that has caught the attention of everybody. And I'm more intrigued to see how the league as a whole adapts to this, or just adjusts or doesn't adjust over the period of a full season. Jayhay, final thoughts?
Just be on the lookout for that torpedo bat promo later today or early tomorrow. And yeah, I mean, I'm just excited that we're back to 3 pods a week.
Yes.
Pumped to fire it up. Pumped that we've got real games to talk about and fresh stuff every day. And yeah, those are my final thoughts.
Jake, final thoughts?
Depending on how this convo goes with Gary from Birdman Bats later this week, I think we got to be looking at some custom torpedo bats for the Dinger Derby.
Oh, Jake, you
what
read
a
my
great
mind.
idea. That's called producing, baby.
You read my mind. That has got to be an absolute must. Absolute must. So stay on the lookout. Hell, maybe we even get some BID torpedo bats in the merch store. You guys can have your own BID torpedo bats. You can be your own torpedo sluggers. Where's the little fella? Where's Rocket? Is he not coming back?
We can probably rap without him.
See, he's done. All right. Well,
that Devers conversation really brought him down.
yeah, I think kind of put him in a blender a little bit. Well, that's all right. Stay tuned. What do we have? We got JP Sears. JP Sears in the Slab Lab. That will be dropping mañana. JP Sears in the Slab Lab. And yes, we have got some other arms on deck for that lab as well. So stay tuned for that. Appreciate all the support. And we will see you on Wednesday. Wow.